Megan Fox.
And Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eats Tucker.
And that was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going to the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumbs.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's
You pissed off the wrong woman.
oh my God, I have been assaulted. When Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
Welcome back to the live stream, everybody. Thanks for coming over from the other one. But when stuff like this happens, you just got to roll with it. And we are talking today about a new medical kidnapping case in Georgia. I was alerted to this by Spike Cohen on Twitter. We just went over some of the details on the last live stream that I was just on. I'm opening up the locals chat right now. We are not on Rumble currently because Rumble is down. I hate to say it, but I don't know why. Rumble, I'm very sorry, but I wasn't able to connect to you. So joining us now is Matt Hernandez. We talked about this case a little bit. We need to go over the details. Matt, thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you for your time. Our family appreciates it.
Well, I hate everything I've heard about this case so far. I was just going over your wife's, and is it Tuckey? Is that how I say it?
Yeah, Tuckey or Taki, both are acceptable.
Tuckey.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just reading her report of what happened here, and I'm shocked by it. We didn't get through the whole thing yet, but basically, to sum it up, you have an infant daughter and you have a toddler, right? Two
Yes.
girls, and your infant had some swelling in a leg. And you take her to the emergency room. What hospital was it?
It was at the Children's Hospital of Atlanta.
Okay, so you go to the Children's Hospital because, like any good parent, you have you've got questions about a swelling in the leg. So what happened then?
I remained outside with Aria for a little while, but within 2 hours, this hospital had decided that this was the story, that we were abusive parents, and that's what they ran with.
And the name of the doctor, the child abuse doctor?
The gentleman that testified at court was Dr. Anthony Pena.
But that's a different doctor than the one who was at the hospital, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were about 3 different doctors that saw Emma. He was the only one that showed up to testify.
All right, I don't know this name. Anthony, do you know how to spell the last name?
It's Pena.
Okay. All right, I didn't look him up, but I looked up the other one.
With I believe Mesner was another name that's
Mesner.
familiar with me. Yeah.
Yeah, Mesner. That's the one that I looked up. And in fact, I found a very bad review of that doctor that was posted to his I don't know if you saw this yet or not, but I did find one. Hold on, let me see. Where did I put it? Hernandez case. Here it is. It is a Dr. Messner. Here he is. Okay, here is the review. Let me share this with you so you guys can see it. We've been talking about these child abuse doctors, and they appear to have similar mode of operandus. It's
I have seen this. Yeah, it's
Stephen Anthony Mesner is one of Satan's minions, according to this person on Google, that preys on scared and confused innocent parents and causes lifelong term damage on families. Stay away from this incompetent doctor turned businessman. He is such a low-grade doctor that he either cannot tell the difference between actual innocent injury, or he chooses to ignore facts, science, and medical experience to recognize a medical condition. He profits heavily from working with CHOA through the Stephanie Blank Center for Abused Children. Every case he reports as abuse at CHOA gets turned into a money-making machine by sending it back and forth between the hospital and the center for further evaluation and testing. He could care less about a child's well-being, not interested in doing any kind of medical investigation to find the real medical cause of injury. Furthermore, he is in charge of training other pediatricians on how to recognize signs of child abuse, therefore funneling more and more cases of false allegations of abuse straight to him. He works directly with state agencies as a medical expert and charges heavily, orders unnecessary tests through CHOA just to bill the insurance, orders unnecessary x-rays for very young infants, and ignores the risk of exposing them to radiation. He has a very good reputation with law enforcement, which makes it difficult trying to fight against him. He is also used as an expert witness for the state when he's successful in pushing a DFCS case to court level by having the law enforcement place charges. Once again, he charges a pretty penny for his expertise on the stand. He is incompetent at his job as a pediatric doctor, does not have the expertise to diagnose and identify simple common conditions, and his focus from the moment he gets involved is to use whatever medical condition landed your family in his care to prove abuse. He's not there to help innocent parents find a medical answer, only cares about money and reputation. The staff of the Stephanie Blank Center is full of insecure bullies that will lie to DFCS and everyone involved in the investigation to make it seem as if a parent is not willing to collaborate. All right, so this is by somebody on Google who had an experience with this doctor, and this is what he was saying. Do you find anything in this as what you've been through as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they labeled us without doing any looking into for medical underlying problems with Emma. They clearly do not have any interest in doing what's best for the kids. They're traumatizing my daughter Aria, who's the 4-year-old, or almost 4. It just pains me to know that they do this and get away with it. It's just disgusting.
What kills me about this story is that when they took her from you, they put her first with her aunt and uncle. They put the children with the aunt and uncle. And then the aunt and uncle report to the DCF, oh my, the leg that was swelling now has a rash on it. What should we do? And DCF says, take her to the hospital. They take her back to the hospital, and the hospital says, this is abuse. And now the aunt and uncle are accused of abuse? Are they getting charged with anything?
All I know is that for the first time since mid-July that they were recently contacted by Gwinnett County SVU. I was told last Thursday at my wife's bond hearing that the state plans on indicting me today. So I spent the whole morning with an attorney basically going over what they plan on doing. But, I sleep bad enough knowing what these guys are doing to my children, what they've done to my wife, who is an absolute angel. And now, because they failed to build a case against her, they're going to come after me.
So when you say they failed to build a case against her, they arrested her and they
Yeah.
kept her from, she's not allowed to be with you, or, which is really bizarre. They've taken your children. So why isn't she allowed to be at home?
And her first attorney said that actually during the bond hearing. They didn't care. We've been married since 2012. We're not going to get to be together on our anniversary this year. We're going to miss Christmas with our children, New Year's. We're going to miss Arya's birthday, all because this state just wants to profit off our kids. They've refused to acknowledge that we have plenty of friends and family that are willing to take these kids, and they've left them in foster care now for months and months. And Arya is clearly declining. She's not sleeping good. She has rashes all over her, and she wants her mommy. She wants to come home.
So now you've had two experts look at did the experts actually, were they able to look at the baby? Were they able to diagnose the baby?
Our experts just looked at the records from CHOA.
Okay.
One of our experts was Chris Sperry, a former chief examiner for the state of Georgia from 97 to 2015, I believe. And he basically just said that they have done absolutely nowhere near enough tests to say that this is not from a medical underlying problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done no bone density tests because they seem to be very sure that there's no way anybody could have hurt this baby accidentally. And without doing a bone density test, he said you can't make that claim. Our second medical expert reviewed all the x-rays from CHOA, and he was the only doctor to bring any records to court. He was the only doctor to actually show x-rays, and he circled all the couplings on the ribs and showed how there's clear evidence that calcium has been pulled to go to the bloodstream. He showed black lines and bones where he said this is where no calcium has been deposited. And all of this was discredited because they just said, oh, well, he's not a pediatrician. He was the only one that had physical evidence, but the state didn't care because he's not a pediatrician.
So did the state drop the charges against your wife? Is that why they're coming against you?
Oh, no. They still very much have the charges against my wife. Some attorneys have told us that this is their bully intimidation attempt here.
Are you entitled to an attorney and your wife? Are you both entitled to get representatives from the state?
I'm sure we could get a court-appointed attorney. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna wait for that. I want to be just as prepared as I can be.
Oh, sure. So you have an attorney, right?
Well, that's who I spoke with this morning. So yes.
Okay, good. What are the, and if you can't answer this, that's okay. Just tell me. What is your attorney telling you? Have they seen this before? Is this, or are they confused about why this is happening?
He said that he would love to get this in front of a jury because this case is laughable.
Yeah.
There's
but that, of
so
course,
much evidence.
That could take a year.
Yeah. And he acknowledges right away. He's like, by that time, you're talking about lifelong damage to your daughter's mentality. And not that the state would ever care, but yeah.
But not to mention that there's also a time limit imposed by Child Services where they can adopt children out if it's been a certain amount of time. I don't know what that is in Georgia, but so let me get this straight. They moved the children to a foster care home after the aunt and uncle were then accused of abuse too.
Yeah.
They moved the children to a foster care home. Then did they move them again to another one?
Oh yeah. At this point, so after they went from my brother and sister-in-law's house, they were with a current foster home. It was just a single lady. They're now in a second foster home, but they've been in numerous, I believe, 4 different respite homes. They get bounced around all the time. I know it's traumatizing. I do believe the law in Georgia, though, because we have family, that they're not, unfortunately, in the state of Georgia, but we still have family that are willing to take the children. So I don't think they could legally adopt these girls out. We have family, we have blood relatives
Well, make sure
that
that
are
your
willing to
lawyer,
take them.
make sure you get a lawyer who knows about DCF there and what they're capable of, because they are very sneaky. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
And there's time limits on these things. So I would just be very careful and make sure you have an attorney who knows and who has worked these juvenile cases before, because an attorney who hasn't will think that they'll just be like, well, they can't do that, but they can. Like, they can do a lot of crazy things.
yeah.
Also, it's a federal law. I believe it's called the Family First Law, that children must be placed with family before foster care. You might want to see if your attorney could look at that. It is a federal law. So if they are not doing that, I believe they're in violation of federal law, but you can, ask your
Oh,
attorney.
they're not
Obviously.
doing that. They basically told me that they're not going to look into any out-of-state people until after the new year, and all of my family is out of state at this point,
Oh no.
except for the brother and sister-in-law, which clearly should have these children. They're a great aunt and uncle.
Well, are they being criminally charged with child abuse?
They haven't as of yet, so we don't
That's
know.
really strange. How couldn't they take the kids from them, accusing them of child abuse, but not bring charges?
Yeah, I don't know. I believe the defects and works very closely with the police department, and I don't know if the police are just not doing an investigation. I don't know. I can't make any comments on that, but they certainly don't have charges against them.
Oh my God. Okay.
And this would be, when they brought Emma into the hospital in July, Emma was kept in the hospital for 6 days. And I remember asking, why is my daughter in the hospital for so long? She was brought in with a bruise on her leg. What's going on? And I was told that it's because they're awaiting test results. But in reality, it was because Emma had refused to eat and they had to put her on a feeding tube. So,
and she was totally breastfed before then, right?
yep, which is something we brought up from the very first court appearance. We said Emma is exclusively breastfed. She even had a problem latching with bottles with us. So my wife, who is absolutely amazing, would feed her every 3 or 4 hours and have her latch. And she never had a problem latching, but she didn't like bottles. So when she went to the aunt and uncle,
sad.
They went out of their way to buy a huge array of different bottles and nipple styles until they finally found one that worked for Emma. And then when the state took her away from them, instead of just being honest, they made up lies and they put her on a feeding tube.
Oh my God. I had a daughter like that who wouldn't take a bottle. She would only take the breast. That was it. And I went through so many different nipples. It was very frustrating. I can't even imagine how you're feeling right now. I am so sorry that this is happening to you. There's in your wife's notes about what happened here, there's a family of I'm looking for the name of them. There's a foster family noted that looked into the case and tried to speak up for you. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Are they
So
still with that foster family?
no, of course. So the state shut down their foster home after they spoke up to try to help us.
You mean they took away their ability to foster children?
Yeah, after 13 years of these guys helping children,
Oh my
and
God.
despite everybody knowing and that there's a lack of foster families available for these kids, they closed their home. Now,
Oh
it's
my
been such a blessing to have Jennifer and Jonathan helping us and fighting for us, because they are amazing people. And we would have loved to have them back with them while we fought through this nightmare. But of course, the state has done everything they can to make sure that will never happen.
This is scary. Okay, how did you get in contact then with Spike Cohen and with his organization? And what are they doing to help you? Have you seen any? I saw your notes that you guys have contacted like every representative you can in Georgia. You've contacted the district attorney. You've contacted so many people.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
anyone come forward to help you?
You know, John Ossoff's office has at least contacted us back, and I'm sure if we were closer to an election time, they'd be more helpful. But unfortunately, a lot of these representatives didn't do anything to help us at all. But John Ossoff, at least his office did get back to us, and we're praying that they are actually looking into this and trying to help us. As far as Spike, you know, there's Jennifer's sister, Mandy, who knew about him and followed him, and thankfully took the time to share our story with him. Me and my wife, you know, we were just under the impression, well, let's cooperate, let's be nice, and let's do what they ask us to do, and we'll get through this. And it couldn't be farther from the truth.
I have a question about signing paperwork. So somewhere in these notes, I saw that you signed something, that they took custody of the children and they asked you to sign something. What was it that you signed?
So the only thing that we ever signed was on the initial day that we were in the hospital. And that was to kind of allow the kids to go to the aunt and uncles, I believe. We haven't signed anything
I
ever
wonder
since.
why do they need you to sign that?
I don't know.
Why do they need that? I wonder. I would like to see that. Do you have copies of any of the paperwork from DCF?
That we don't have. No, we don't have a copy of that.
I believe you're
At least I
entitled.
don't.
You're entitled to that. You're entitled to all of that. So, is there a way to request those things? Talk to your lawyer about requesting all the records from your case from
I can do that.
Child Services, okay? Because that's a big deal. You're going to need that.
Yeah,
Duncan, Idaho sent a tip on locals, said just for context, until very recently, Washington Child Support enforced most foster care cases as child support cases with the state as the custodial parent to whom a support debt accrues. I believe many other states still do this. The state is not supposed to profit from TANF or FC cases, but I think there's an argument to be made that the state has a financial incentive to assign itself as a custodian in most cases, especially these medical cases, because they can bill so much more for medical treatment and any medicines and right.
Like you highlighted in that little Mesner review, I mean, they can just order reports, order more testing, more blood work, more x-rays, and then they bill insurance companies for it. So the state, these hospitals, these doctors, they definitely profit off what they're doing to these kids.
Have you gotten any bills from your insurance company for things that they have ordered?
You know, I did get one email from CHOA once saying that I had a bill available, and I didn't bother to open it. I'm not going to pay them anything.
Well, make a record of it though, because you're going to need that. You're going to need to know what it is that they're charging for and why.
Yeah.
Because if they're accusing you of abuse and they're doing anything to treat rickets, you've got them. So you need to pay real close attention to what they're doing on the insurance, okay?
Well, I mean, they did immediately by the next morning after we brought Emma in, start giving her vitamin D supplement and gave us a prescription to vitamin D. So in a way, they immediately did react to the fact that there's obviously a problem with vitamin D and calcium in the baby.
Well, that should all be on the insurance records as well. So keep records of that. Make sure your attorney has all of that because that's important. Why would they be giving vitamin D and calcium to a baby who's been abused? You know, that doesn't really make sense now, does it? Especially when the experts are saying it's rickets.
No, and we even have testing proof now that my wife had low vitamin D. So, you know, we didn't go to school for kids or anything. So you read online that breast milk is gold. It's key. It's the best thing you can give a baby. Apparently vitamin D and calcium are not transmitted through that or given to a baby. So, you know, we had no clue. And if my wife had low vitamin D, then poor little Emma certainly and obviously did. So
Hmm. Well, okay. So there's another thing in the notes that I was looking at that said, oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Did DFCS, did they ever give you a plan, like a family plan? I know at one point it said reunification was their goal, and then at another point now it's non-reunification.
no,
What
that
happened? What changed the goal, the plan, and were you ever given a plan? Like, here's your plan for reunification.
no, we were never given a case plan from DFACS. Every other organization involved
Hey,
has.
Matt, we just lost your volume a lot. Something got moved. Can you move your phone back where you had it?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, that's better. It
Sorry,
was muffled all of a sudden. Okay, go ahead.
sorry, probably my hand there, but no, we never got a plan for a case plan from DFACS. Every other organization that we've dealt with has released paperwork saying that they support reunification, but we never got a case plan, even though we were legally supposed to get one within 30 days. We never got a case plan. And as far as I know, they just skipped straight to non reunification, trying to terminate parental rights.
Oh, God.
And they act like it's, this is not how you can treat a family when they bring their daughter to a doctor's office to get help. Neither one of my wife have any criminal history. We have a 3-year-old that's never had any injuries at all. And we bring Emma in to get helped. And their reaction is to destroy our lives, to traumatize Arya, and to put every single extended family member, just through heartbreak. And then not even acknowledge that we have family that want to take these kids. They're just more than happy to leave them in foster care through the holidays, through Arya's birthday. They don't care. They'll take every milestone from us they can.
Did they take your visitation away yet?
No, so I've had visitation since mid-June. For a while, it was just 1 day a week. Now it's 2 days a week. My wife, as of last Thursday, December 7th, just got back into visitation, but they haven't processed her paperwork to allow her to go to visitations yet.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I'm
Well,
very
that's a good
concerned,
sign.
obviously.
That's a good sign, though, that visitation is increasing and not decreasing. That's a good sign. And you just make sure that you go to every single one.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
talking to a woman who the state had taken her her child for 12 years, but she remained in her visitation all that time. And her advice was, don't ever let them come between you and your child. If they're sitting there trying to take your attention off of your child, ignore them completely and just focus on your child and keep that bond, because they're trying to break that bond. And it's really important that you go to your visitation while this is all going on.
Oh,
Walk
yeah.
me
I would never miss one.
through, and don't let them bait you into doing or saying anything that could cause them to take your visitation away. Don't let them do that. Just ignore, and focus on your kids, because they are. I know for a fact DCF does bad things, and they're going to
Yeah.
try and poke you, and they're going to try and make you react to the bad things they do. So try real hard not to do that. Um, At least that's what Lena Duval says. Lena Duval, who went through this, and she eventually won millions of dollars from the state of California for doing it to her. Her advice is to just focus on your children. What about Matt, hang on 1 second, okay? Can you hold on for 1 second? Guys, hold on. I gotta take a phone call. It's important. I'll Sorry about that, guys. When this kid's school calls, I have to drop everything and answer it just in case there's some kind of problem. There is not a problem. Everything is fine. All right, Matt. Matt, sorry about that, Matt.
No, it's okay. I'm still here for you.
This is why commercial breaks are a good thing sometimes. Luckily, I had one there for the book that I wrote about government institutions and how terrible they are. Matt, this is so bad. I mean, I am so sorry that you're going through this. I wish there was something that we could do. And I think that bringing attention to it and not keeping it in the dark and keeping the spotlight on it is important. Let me ask you, and obviously, if your attorney has told you not to answer some of these questions, just tell me you can't say it. But why do you believe that you're about to be arrested?
I mean, I think it's an intimidation factor. I think that they're running out of cards to play. That their goal is to try to have any reason in court to keep our family apart, and this is the next step to that. You know, there's no logical reason for it. You know, it's
Well, did you get a tip? Are they asked, or did they call your attorney? Do you know, how do you know that this is happening?
oh, so I was asked by my wife's attorney to be at her bond hearing on the 7th. And it was at that point that Caroline Yee, I guess the assistant district attorney, stood up in the courtroom and said that they plan on indicting me today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And
so in front of
are they doing this
over,
with a grand jury? How are they doing this indictment? They're just deciding to do it, or they have a grand jury? How do you know how they do this?
I believe, a grand jury, but I don't know.
I don't
I tell
what
you.
kind of evidence are they presenting that makes this child abuse?
Apparently, they don't have to submit any evidence that we've submitted, so they don't have to tell anybody that we have medical professionals that have done this or said that. They can just submit the initial reports and use the same information that they used to press charges against my wife. And they're going to do this all the way down the road now. And FYI, some of the information they used against my wife was fabricated. They did a forensic interview with our little girl Aria, which we had a forensic expert destroy in court. I mean, the things that they put in their synopsis clearly were never said.
Oh yeah,
So
they did that.
fabricated evidence.
They will do that. They did it in Cindy Absuck's case too. They fabricate the things that children say.
Yep.
I
Really sad.
I'm okay. So walk me through this part. From the moment they took custody, the state took custody of your children. Did they take both at the same time?
Yeah. Well, so when they initially took Aria and Emma, yeah, I mean, Emma stayed in the hospital with us for a couple days, us being my wife and I. But yeah, initially Aria and Emma were both together, and they've been together pretty much the whole time.
And then were you removed from the hospital? Did they not want you there at some point?
No, I mean, while we were in the hospital, they allowed us to stay in the room with Emma. There was no really supervision. There were nurses coming out every now and then, but we were allowed to just stay with Emma until she was discharged.
And then they took her from the hospital and put her with your brother.
Yeah, and at that point, my brother and sister-in-law came and picked her up. And it was by the next morning where there was obviously the order that we couldn't see the kids unless it was visitation. That took a couple weeks to get set up, and my poor wife only went to 2 visits before she was arrested, and she hasn't seen her kids ever since.
Is there an arrest affidavit that's in the documents that you know of?
No, I'm not sure.
That's something that that you should have as well.
What do you mean by affidavit? Like, what would that
Well, the
consist
police
of?
have to write an affidavit when they arrest someone. It gives the probable cause and it's signed by a judge. You know, here's the probable cause for the arrest and here's what it is. I'd be very interested to see what that says and what evidence they presented to get that arrest warrant for her.
I I was told by the officer when he came to pick up my wife that this was because the medical professional at Children's Hospital of Atlanta claims that there's no plausible reason besides child abuse.
Well, they still have to
Yeah.
get a warrant, though.
Yeah, and that
So-
because my wife was the primary caregiver, that's why they were doing this.
All right. Well, the warrant is something that your lawyer would want to see. Then tell me, how long was it from when they took the children to when you had your first hearing? So there's got to be some kind of hearing, like is it 48 hours? I'm not sure what it is in Georgia, but you have to
Yeah,
have
it
a hearing.
was, but so Emma got discharged. We did have an initial hearing pretty quickly.
Okay, and what was that like?
It was surreal. It didn't make any sense to us, but it was very quick. We basically waived our right for a preliminary hearing, and the judge basically said that the parents can have a visitation, but it's only going to be 2 days a week for 2 hours apiece. I believe it was the stipulations at that point, and that ended very soon. So,
were you able to speak on your behalf in that hearing, and did you have a lawyer at that point?
yeah, so I had a court-appointed lawyer the whole time for the juvenile court. I don't remember who my wife's attorney was at the time, but we did have attorneys, but we certainly didn't speak ourselves. And I don't remember much of a fight being put up on our behalf.
Your attorneys didn't fight for you in that hearing?
I don't think so.
Did they explain to you, did they say to you, look, this is going to happen no matter what we say here, this is what's happening, this is what you do? Or did they explain it to you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, my attorney, I do remember her explaining that, we're just going to waive the preliminary hearing because it's just a lot of hearsay and it doesn't require them to have a lot of proof on their end. But apparently they didn't need a lot of proof on their end anyway to win, especially with the judge that we had at our disposition hearing.
Who was the judge?
The judge was Heather Dunn. It seemed like a lot of people have said it seemed like she had decided what the outcome of this case was well before she was submitted with any evidence. And I can't say that. I don't want to, but I certainly got the very strong effect that she didn't care about these kids either.
Well, we've seen other juvenile processes. In fact, we're reading through the Maya Kowalski juvenile process transcripts, and those judges, there were 2 judges involved, and both of them had made up their minds ahead of time, and they admit it in the sidebars. So this is a common thing. This is a very common thing that happens. I am so sorry. After that hearing, was that the hearing that decided that the state was taking custody and you were getting supervised visitation? Is that what that decided?
Yeah, that was at the very first hearing.
And then what was the next one about? What was your next time in front of the juvenile court?
I forget the dates, but I know the next hearing was a discovery hearing, and it was basically because we were not being given any of the medical records from CHOA, so we had to have a hearing where basically our attorneys had to submit paperwork just to get a court order to have them hand over medical records to us.
And did you
And
finally
there are
get
still
them?
records. We got some, but there are still records that we have not received. And my understanding is that there are certain records that they say they have state orders not to release to us, which doesn't make any sense. We've also pushed multiple times to pay ourselves to have genetic testing done on Emma, and they don't want that to happen. So obviously, if they really thought, they were correct, they would have no problem with us taking our daughter to a doctor of our choosing. But they don't want that to happen under any circumstances.
All right. All right. There would be marker if you're looking for court records of this, you're not going to find them in the juvenile cases. They're all sealed. If you're looking for criminal records, though, what is her name? Her Tuckey is her nickname, correct? So
Yeah.
her full name, it would be under I
Will
can't
Will
say it.
Will I rat?
Wilairat, which is Wilairat. Yotrungrung. I can't say that either. How do you say her?
It's a rough last name for English pronunciation, but
Yeah, that's
Young
tough.
Grungrung. That's my
Okay,
best.
I will type it
attempt.
for you guys in the chat if somebody wants to try and look up the criminal case. The last name is Yotrungrung dash Hernandez. And the first name there. Okay, there it is in the chat. If you guys want to look it up, that's the correct spelling. This is just awful, Matt. Have you talked to anyone else in the press? Have you given your story to any local press? Has anybody contacted you?
I have talked to some other people. I hope there's another story that will be released today. Because, like you said, I mean, getting the story out is helpful. It's not going to stop them in their tracks, unfortunately, but putting their names and letting the world know that these are monsters working for this organization.
Have you had any interaction with the caseworker assigned to your case?
Very little. Very
That's
little.
so frustrating. Who is the caseworker?
So the first one is Mackenzie McCrae, who I have very little conversation with. They haven't sent me a photo of my children since early October, November. I have to check, but no, their communication for doctor's appointments has been abysmal. Nikki Cannon, who is her supervisor, doesn't seem to be a very nice person.
Have they switched caseworkers on you yet, or is it the same people since the beginning of this?
I believe it's the same people. The
Okay.
lady who did the initial investigation in the hospital, Sarah Eller, we haven't heard from her in a long time, and I believe that's because we located an Instagram post that she had made about her being mentally unstable and her being rushed back to work and how she resented normal people. I mean, it was a very low blow. I remember reading the email or seeing it in like a group chat at like 5 a.m. and just crying, knowing that this was the lady who had input on ripping our family apart. This is the lady who interrogated my Thai wife without an interpreter. And how could you have someone like this working in such a serious position? But that's because they don't care what they're doing to these families. They don't care. It's scary.
Do you or your wife have the court appointed attorney for the juvenile process? Those are the attorneys you have. Have they been good about talking to you about this process and answering your questions? And do you feel like they're on top of things?
My attorney has been good as far as communication goes, but I don't think that she realizes that DFACS does not tell her the truth. I know. So she kind of believes that when she believes that DFACS is right now trying to expedite getting our kids with one of the fit for kin list. They are absolutely not trying to do that. They have had this list since early October or at the end of October. They are not putting any effort into getting these kids out of foster care. But my lawyer believes that they are. So it's been frustrating. There's been a lot of violations that they've committed to us besides not getting us a case plan ever. There's been a lot of flip-flop between what they tell us and why we don't have a case plan and this and that. There's just lies and miscommunication. But they're just traumatizing my children, and they're traumatizing my wife. My wife is a fantastic mother, and Aria was such a little ray of sunshine, and she's been broken down, and it's unforgivable.
I'm sorry. I'm just, it's so bad.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Really, I really do, because the story has to get out. It has to.
So I have the Instagram. Can I show the Instagram page of Sarah? Is it Sarah Schaefer?
Sarah Schaefer was the name on the page, yeah, but Sarah Eller was the name that we were told when we met her. So yeah, so you've read that post. So you've seen that.
Actually, I haven't read it, but can I read it? Can we put it up?
Oh yeah. I mean,
All
it's
right.
not mine. I mean, she posted it.
All right. So this is her. Is that her with the chainsaw?
Yeah.
That's odd. Okay. All right, here's what it says. You all want an update on me and my mental health. Some of my dearest friends know my struggles and the dark places I have been in lately. I still have lots of mountains to conquer as a result of this injury. People confuse outside looks with, wow, you are better, and think I'm back to normal, but really I'm not. A brain injury as bad as mine leaves a lifelong lasting effects on a person and requires years of medical rehabilitation. I rushed and was rushed too soon to come back into the world of normal people, and I have failed. I see I should not have went to work when I did, because by doing so I have put myself into a deeper state of depression and resentment of others. This is my battle. Here's a video I did a while back before my shelves were complete that helped me work through some of my depression.
Now, does that sound like a girl who should be giving her input on what happens to loving families? Because according to defects, that's perfectly acceptable.
And this is the initial caseworker who accused you of child abuse.
Yeah. That's the lady that interviewed my wife and myself separately. But, you know, I've said over and over again that my wife should have had an interpreter regardless of who interviewed her. But once we found this post, it was just, oh, what are you saying when you read something like that and you know that this lady played a role of ripping your family apart? What do you say to that?
It's not good.
It's not right.
Good. Mm-mm. All right. So you have I see that there's a list of people you've contacted to date, and I want people to see this because this is really incredible. Look at the list of people who have been contacted to try and help. Senator Warnock, Senator Ossoff, David Clark, who's the Georgia House of Representatives member, no reply. Candace Brosi, DHS Commissioner, Director of DFCS, responded with, our leadership staff are reviewing this case in detail. Also gave her scheduler's email address, however, we were denied any meetings. Governor Kemp. And did Governor Kemp's manager of constituent services reach out to you, this Latoya Hunt?
I did speak with Latoya Hunt.
And what did she say?
She seemed like she, cared about what was happening, but she also took what defects told her to be correct. And, so I believe, like she reached out, she listened to my story, but then she looked at their paperwork and said, oh, well, I had contacted an officer from the OCA who did a so-called investigation and told me that they're doing everything textbook.
What is the OCA?
It's a third party that oversees child CPS to make sure that they're doing things correctly.
And Randy Travis, investigative reporter with Fox 5 in Atlanta, no reply. Rachel Polanski, investigative reporter with Atlanta News First, no reply. Rebecca Davidson, DFCS administrator to Region 2. what was her response? She said she felt we no longer had the same goals as DFCS and offered to meet in person if we wanted. Did you meet with her?
I did not meet with her, but I think that may have been who Jennifer and Jonathan talked to, who shut down their homes.
Mm.
Which is crazy because Jennifer and
Wow.
Jonathan, their goal is to help kids and to reunite families, which is exactly what DFACS claims they're trying to do. So they're great people. To have their home shut down, absolutely, it goes to show that they don't want people helping my family.
We should talk to them. Would they be willing to talk about what happened?
Oh, I'm sure they would be, and they would be great people to talk to. They're very
All right,
knowledgeable.
I'll reach out to Jennifer. I have her email. She's been emailing me. She's been really helpful about giving me a lot of these documents.
They've been amazing.
Senator Warnock, Jonathan and Jennifer reached out to them. They said they can't get involved in criminal cases, suggest calling the governor's office, which you already did. Senator Ossoff, again, responded with a privacy letter. Marty Kemp, First Lady of Georgia, Bryan's wife, no reply. David Clark, Georgia House of Representatives, no reply. Brent Cox, Georgia House of Representatives, no reply. Lauren McDonald, Georgia House of Representatives, no reply. Todd Jones, Carter Barrett, both representatives, no reply. Candace Brochi, DHS Commissioner, no reply to Jennifer. Wow.
There's been,
there's
even
been
the
a
people
lot.
that have
Look at all these
replied.
people.
Yeah.
Look at all these people. Oh, I'm glad you're in contact with Rachel Bruno. She's an excellent resource. That's good. Bo Hatchett, Georgia State District 50, told we had a meeting with Matt Brass and Candace Brochi regarding the Hernandez family. We were not invited to this meeting, do not know what day the meeting occurred, and are not sure if it was done via phone or in person, but we were told that Candace said, we have investigated this case fully, and it is out of DFCS hands and in the court's hands. Oh, sure. Okay.
No.
This is what it's like, though, folks. And I've worked with a lot of families who reach out and try to get help. And this is what it's like. No reply, no reply, no reply. All of these people who are elected to supposedly be your voice, none of them are at all concerned about being the voice of the people like they're supposed to be. I have done this in Missouri when I had a 29-part series on family court corruption in Missouri. I went myself in person. I traveled there and I went to the state house and I spoke to senators and House of Representatives members, and they all shrugged. They shrugged. None of these people care whether your family is ripped apart or not. Finding one who does care it's something. Now, I think what we could do, though, is take that list of people and try and start a letter campaign, folks. If you want to tell them they need to look into this case deeper, sending letters is a good idea to get it on, to make it stay on their radar. You just have to be very careful and make sure that everything you write is in a civil manner, that they cannot use anything you say as a, we're being harassed or we've got death threats, because that's what they will do. They will claim that they have been threatened. Yeah, I need a template. Okay, I'll make you a template. No problem. We can do that. And we will start sending letters to these places, because every single one of those people that this family has reached out to needs to know that the public now is aware that they were asked for help and they gave no reply. And when it comes to the House of Representatives members, I'm going to be calling them as a member of the press for an inquiry as to why they didn't reply and to why they don't seem to have any interest in this case. And you guys can help me do that. We will do that, because this is an outrage. This family deserves to have the very basic investigation done that includes doing the genetic tests and asking specialists to rule out rickets and rule out the other possible diagnoses before charging these people with child abuse. That's what has to be done. That's what
Yeah.
needs to be done. That's what should be done and isn't being done.
Parents should have the right to take their children to a doctor of their choosing and have these tests done to ensure that there's a realistic third party that's not just going to make up nonsense. I don't know. You know, we thought it would have mattered that our doctors didn't work at the CHOA, didn't work for the Children's Hospital Atlanta, because it's a true third party opinion. They have nothing to gain or to lose.
Is this your doctors, the ones that the experts that you use,
Yeah.
genetics and metabolism? Okay,
Yep.
so here's the medical summary that was done by the experts the parents chose. And it says Emma presented at 12 weeks, 3 months old, with multiple fractures of the ribs and right femur. This is a summary of her x-ray studies and lab tests done on 6/6/23. Additionally, records following this acute presentation and additional records from her pediatric visits, her mother's pregnancy records, and her sister's pediatric records. Tuckey Hernandez was also reviewed. Emma was almost 3 months old when leg swelling was noted. This led to x-ray studies and inpatient admission at Children's Hospital of Atlanta, CHOA. Old rib fractures were seen, as well as the corner fractures in the femur with osseous changes. She later was found to have more extensive fractures in the same right leg after she was placed into foster care with new bruising. Emma was a term infant with a birth weight of 6 pounds, 12 ounces, discharge weight 2.84 kilograms. She was reported as healthy with neonatal jaundice. She had abnormal weight loss in the first week. She has been solely breastfed since birth. Vitamin D drops given as prescribed since birth. States newborn screen IRT plus and gene abnormality for cystic fibrosis. Sweat test on day 14 normal. At the time of admission, labs showed she had vitamin D deficiency with a very low level of 15.6. Her labs on 6/6 showed sodium are at all of these. These are the findings. Diagnostic findings. Emma has vitamin D deficiency with hyperchloremic acidosis and a normal anion gap. These findings are consistent with a demineralization process that started at birth and leads to weakening of the bones in the first 3 months of life. This is often called neonatal rickets. This process has not been corrected in foster care. Vitamin D supplementation started after birth. The hyperchloremic acidosis has not been stopped. X-ray findings, separate document, show demineralization in the ribs, spine, and skull. The repeat X-rays show additional changes of this process continuing. The findings of craniotabes and rib cupping have worsened from June to July. Higher doses of vitamin D are needed to halt the metabolic process of losing bone mineral. And this is what you presented to the court, and the court ignored it?
Yeah, I mean, and this doctor had all the actual photos of the x-rays where he circled all the couplings on the ribs to show that calcium had been pulled to be put into the bloodstream. And the judge's ruling was that she found the argument from the CHOA doctor to be more persuasive, was her words. And I remember thinking that this is not an argument. These are medical professionals that are under oath that just gave a medical opinion. And our doctor was the only one who showed up with visual imaging. Their doctor just got up there and just talked. Our doctor submitted actual visual evidence.
It says the following x-rays show a pattern of bone mineral reabsorption leading to demineralization of her bones. The x-rays provided here are from her multiple imaging studies from 6/6 through 7/11. Here's a chest x-ray, and he's circled where it says vertebral bodies are thinned out or appear hollow. This is a sign of loss of bone mineral in the circle. Cupping at the ends of the ribs is seen on multiple ribs on both sides of the chest, where I see that. Those little lines that go like this, that go up, like, I see it. Yeah, they're faint, but you can see there's like a little.
There are some images that really show it very well. I just can't believe.
Cupping here noted. Oh, here's another one right here on this side. I can see it there. Vertebrae have deficient mineral content. Ribs grow at their growth plate with straight ends. If cupping is observed, there is active reabsorption of the calcium from the growth plate to be taken elsewhere for bone growth. This will leave a cupped or scooped out appearance at the end of the rib. And you can see it very clearly. You can see that where he circled it.
Yeah, and it blew my mind that this one judge has the ability to just choose which doctor she wants to believe. I mean, if there's a disagreement between two medical professionals, send it to a medical board. Get a group of doctors together to have them review everything, because this lady is not a doctor. She's a judge. She may be very knowledgeable. She may be a nice person. Who knows? But she's not a doctor, and she should not be able to just choose which doctor she believes. That's so.
Here's another one. Left tibia and fibula, double line on shaft of long bone shows new bone mineral being deposited over a layer of bone without calcium. This is seen in neonatal rickets. There was a period of several weeks up to months where there was no new calcium being deposited in the bone that was forming. Bone without calcium deposition is weak, soft bone. Now calcium is starting to be deposited in the new thin layer of the bone that has formed. This should start to make the bones stronger. Similar pattern of new bone, this is the forearm, similar pattern of new bone growth along the shaft of the long bones of the forearm. Double layer look is from newborn bone formation with calcium deposited over old bone that does not have calcium deposition. The bone that does not have calcium is dark and was formed after birth with a lack of calcium deposited. Bones without calcium are soft and weak. Then there's cranium views, two views from a CT scan of the thinning of the skull bones where the arrows are pointing. Below are two views from the CT scan, 7/11. So this one's from 6/6 and this one's from 7/11. Oh, look at that. There is a difference.
And this was well out of, our custody.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like an awful lot of evidence just for a court to completely disregard, but they did.
God, okay. Well, look, I'm going to have to think about what are the best things that I can help you with here. I can certainly write an article about this and get it out there on pjmedia.com. And I think that contacting that list of people who have already been contacted and have knowledge of this may be of some help. But when is the criminal trial for your wife? Has there been anything set? Any hearing dates? Anything set?
I don't know. They've cut off communication between me and my wife completely, so I don't know when my wife is supposed to go to trial.
Well, how can they do that? How can they cut off communication? How can they make you stop talking to your wife? I don't understand how they can order her out of your house.
It's just cruel. It really is. We've been married since December 19th, 2012. We're coming up on our anniversary, and we're not going to be together.
Is there a court order that says you're not allowed to be together?
Yeah, no. At her initial bond conditions, the judge labeled me as a potential witness and said that we're not allowed to see each other. She's not allowed to come home. And then months and months and months go by, and at this last hearing, instead of being allowed to come home and for us to go back to visitations together, they make the announcement that, like we said earlier, that they're going to try to indict me today.
Oh my God.
So I still haven't seen my wife, and I am trying to take peace in that she'll get to see her kids soon, because she's such a great mom and she deserves to see her little girls. But, sorry.
No, please, you're allowed to feel what you feel, and we feel it too. This is terrible. Yeah, I mean, yes. How could you be a potential witness against your wife? There is privilege. There's spousal privilege. You can't be compelled to testify against your wife. That's against the law.
I know. I read that immediately, and it didn't make sense. It didn't. It's just, there's no justifiable reason.
All right. Is this identification of you as a witness, is that in a court document, a court order somewhere? I need to see this order.
I witnessed it just via I was at the courthouse watching it on a TV.
All right.
So I don't know if we have
What
anything in writing.
What courthouse were you at?
That was the Forsyth County Jail.
Forsyth County?
Yeah.
And do you know the name of the court, the court that is responsible that it's like a district or number or something, or what it's called? The
I
county,
wish I did. It was just
Forsyth
I
County
just
Court, perhaps?
I just knew when her bond hearing was, and I was in the lobby basically watching it.
All
That's
right.
all.
Let me see if I can find it. No, that's North Carolina. We want Forsyth County, Georgia.
But
All right.
I urge people to please write to these people. Please.
Do you have a case?
Be respectful.
Do you have a case number?
Oh man, I do. I don't know if I can access it right now. I do.
All right. Well, when you get, you can always just send it to me later when you find it. But
Okay.
I will. We need to get into the docket on this and see what has been filed and what has actually been ordered. Have you discussed spousal privilege with your attorney? Have you brought that up to your attorney about keeping you away from your wife? And is your attorney in agreement that you have to stay away from your wife?
I think I asked her once if they could make me testify against her, and I think she said that they could.
What? I don't think so.
No, from what I've read, I don't think they can either.
No. Why wouldn't your attorney know this? Hold on. Spousal privilege, Georgia.
And everything else that I've ever asked about trying to change this, it's we just got to wait for the bond hearing. We got to wait for this hearing.
Yeah, this is not true. In Georgia, there is a spousal immunity privilege for partners who are legally married. Are you legally married?
Oh, yeah.
This means that spouses cannot be compelled to testify against each other in a criminal proceeding. Communications between husband and wife are also considered privileged, so parties cannot be compelled to divulge private information to the court. Now, it says, now wait a minute. It says, however, privilege does not apply in all cases. Let me guess. Child abuse. Let me see. Exceptions to the rule. These are found in section 25.503 of the Georgia Code. You may be required to testify in the following scenarios. First, where one spouse is accused of committing a crime against a child. There it is. There it is. However, you can only be required to testify regarding the specific acts for which your partner is charged. Second, where you were the victim of a crime either while you were married or before. Okay, so it's the child thing that they're going for. But you can only be required to testify regarding the specific acts for which your partner is charged, which she didn't do anything. So your testimony is she didn't do it.
My wife is such a great mom. I could not have asked for a better person to be the mom for my little girls. I couldn't. She's an amazing person, and she's missing her kids growing up right now. And it's not fair. It's not right. And we've had all sorts of people ask us, it's like, well, aren't you supposed to take your kid to the doctor if you think something's wrong? Well, I don't know anymore, man. This has scarred us for life. Who do we ever trust again after stuff like this? Obviously, we'd always do what's right for our girls, but this is scary and it's so wrong. But regardless of, even if that law is in existence, she can't come home. We have to stay separated for 6 months.
I don't think that doesn't. That just doesn't sound right. And
no, it's cruel. It's unjust. And it's cruel.
Have you gotten a second opinion from any other attorney on that particular issue?
Every attorney that we talked to that asked us, or every attorney that I mentioned that to, they will stop mid-conversation and repeat it, So they're clearly shocked by it and confused by it. They're like, wait, you haven't seen your wife since June?
Yeah, so I don't know. Have you had them, have they said to you, this is not right? This is not legal. It doesn't sound legal to me, Matt, is what I'm saying.
But
what are they saying when they look into it? When you got a second opinion from other attorneys, what do they say? Do they find that it's valid?
I don't know if they looked into it, but they definitely questioned it right away. They definitely acted like this doesn't seem normal.
No, it's not normal.
No.
This is crazy. This is not normal. Is your wife was bonded out, correct? So she's not in jail currently?
Oh, thank God, she's been bonded out. Yeah, so she's not in jail now. That'd be. I don't know if I would be able to deal with that
All
and
right.
everything else.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we have gone over everything that we can go over right now. I would like to talk to you privately if you have some time after I end the stream. Are you okay with hanging around?
Yeah, no, I'm free, and I just
Okay.
want to say thank you and everybody who listened. If you can write people, like Megan said, be respectful, but reach out to them and ask them why this is happening.
Have you, is there any kind of fundraising going on to help you all with legal costs or anything?
We do have a GoFundMe, and I don't know if You Are the Power has shared that yet, but we
No,
do have
I
a
don't have it.
GoFundMe.
Where do I find it?
I can send that to you.
Or
I'd be
I'd
happy
like
to
to
do that.
I'd like to share it with the chat right now before we end this stream. Is
Okay,
there a do you
can
need
I send you a link real quick, or how does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, send me a link to my email if you
Okay,
can.
I'll get this right now for us.
M169, thanks for the super chat. Where's my sound effect? There we go. Says Matt, I don't know if you're a person of faith, but I pray God's protection upon your family. I ask all other people of faith to join me in praying for this family as well as contacting officials. Thanks for that, M169. I appreciate that. And also, Casey Cat says, Megan, please reach out to Greg, Nick, and Rob to see if they know of a great lawyer in Georgia that can help. I will, of course, be asking about that. Matt Bond, thanks for the super chat, says, I think DV and CA are exceptions to marital immunity. It looks like limited exception. M1, oh, and I got this one already. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So
I to answer the one, I have been going to church, and I've met a lot of great, very supportive people. So thank you. It's been one comfort.
yeah, yeah, it's it's a terrible situation to get tied up with the state. All right, so here is the GoFundMe link. I am going to be I'll put it in the chat for you guys. Here it is right here. I'll give it to you guys on locals as well. All right, and that is going to be, I'm sure we'll have Matt back, and hopefully he will not be in jail tomorrow. But I am going to be following this case and keeping updated on it. But Matt, if you could just stick around for a few minutes, just hang out, and I'll be right back to talk to you once we end the show. Okay?
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, you're welcome. All right, guys, that's going to be it for now. I need to talk to Matt and get some more of these details and see what else can be done. And I will update you, of course, as soon as I know anything. And I will be writing an article about this for PJ Media as well. And I just want to say, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for following these cases, for liking these cases, for understanding that this is a real problem in this country. And we need to be sure that we get some eyes on this. All right, guys, take care, everybody. I'll see you again soon.